Friday, July 26th. Take the next gen to the California Sands at Auto Club for the inaugural Luke's Playhouse 200 charity race. A $5 minimum entry fee donation gives you the chance to race against real NASCAR stars and show support for Luke's Playhouse's commitment to providing aquatic therapy for children and adults with chronic illnesses. 100 laps, no stages, one winner. Catch all the action July 26th on Pit Stop TV. On Friday, July 26th, take the next gen to the California Sands at Auto Club for the inaugural Luke's Playhouse 200 charity race. A $5 minimum entry fee donation gives you the chance to race against real NASCAR stars and show support for Luke's Playhouse's commitment to providing aquatic therapy for children and adults with chronic illnesses. 100 laps, no stages, one winner. Catch all the action July 26th on Pit Stop TV.
Indianapolis Motor Speedway needs no introduction. Nothing does this place justice. 2.5 miles of asphalt per lap, 96 laps before we crown a winner in a Crown Jewel Icon Cup event, and it could be a huge ticket to the playoffs. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Speedway, Indiana. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage, continuing coverage that is, of the 2024 Icon Cup Series. Tonight's coverage from Indianapolis is brought to you by Whiplash Simcams, ATVO, and by CC's Business, and it's a pleasure to join you all this evening for what is set to be a very, very fun outing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the Oval, as NASCAR did earlier today. Glad to join you as we take a look high above with our B-roll, high above the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the pagoda there. Now the grandstand's down on the far end of the speedway. I am excited to get racing this evening. There's a lot to be excited about. We'll talk about point standings, we'll talk about the track map, we'll talk about weather, we'll talk about the schedule, we'll talk about it all as we get ready to go racing this evening for the 21st time in 2024. Once again, this broadcast brought to you by Whiplash Simcams, by ATVO, and by CC's Business. Let's take a look at the track map. First up this evening at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 2.5 miles in length. Of course, rectangularly shaped, and that yard of bricks across the start-finish line. The road course there through the infield where NASCAR has been and called home for the last handful of years. Now back on the big oval, the big rectangle four-corner oval that the Indianapolis Motor Speedway runs, of course, for the Indianapolis 500. And it's going to be exciting this evening, I think, for sure. Pit speed of 55 mile per hour limit. And of course, this track built in 1909, first envisioned back in 1905. So the history of this place is going on 120 years, which is only rivaled, really, by Milwaukee and Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway this year celebrating 120 years of racing. It's right up there. We're getting very, very close here with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Let's take a look at point standings this evening coming into race number 21. Brian Smith gets another race win, makes it 8 now on the season, 7 for Loria, 2 for Finnegan, 1 each for Patty and Harper. And Charlie Widener is getting closer and closer to being locked into these playoffs by points. Justin Bissonette is not far back. Neither are Jacob Gladulich or Kyle Purcell. So a handful of drivers right on the edge of being locked into this playoffs, being locked into fighting for a championship. And I'll be honest, when I made this graphic earlier today, I noticed right away the cut line. 22 points separating 3 drivers at the cut line. Cody Neal, Cody Eldred on the in, Brock Hersey on the out, Brad Delph is 34 back, Evan Patinko is 67 back, Hanover Fist is 76 back. These are some pretty big gaps. It's going to take a win at this point. You're just not going to make up that kind of points margin with only, 30 cars on the racetrack week in, week out. There's less points than a NASCAR Cup race, or I guess less positions that pay points than a NASCAR Cup race, so it's just a little bit harder than a NASCAR Cup race, a little bit more difficult to earn those points and get that points margin. It's realistically, I think, going to take a win for anybody but maybe Brock Hersey and maybe Brad Delph. And even then, you need some pretty big slides. Now, I will say, Cody Neal is not here again this evening, so we might be seeing the 4-car bowing out of the playoffs despite how fast he's been this season and how much he definitely should have contended for a race win and should have gotten multiple race wins by this point in time. Cody Neal not here again. That's likely, maybe not this week, but maybe the week after. That'll actually help Brock Hersey a ton and probably bump Hersey in, which means we'll have a bit more of a compelling cut line battle going forward. Brock Hersey, Brad Delph might realistically be your cut line, which then brings Evan Patinko that much closer, along with Hanover Fist, Anthony Teseo, so on and so forth. And that would change this quite a bit, actually. If you do take out the 4-car, that changes the picture, I would say, dramatically. And would make it a 12-point gap right now between Brock Hersey and Brad Delph. But excuse me, assuming Cody Neal is not bowing out of these playoffs just yet, this is a dismal outlook for anybody lower than 17th. I mentioned the schedule. We can take a look at the 37 race schedule here. Again, yes, 37 races this season, from Daytona to Coda to Dover to Sonoma, here at Indianapolis. Next up, we go to Atlanta for the first time this season, although it'll be on the old intermediate track. Then California, Richmond, and Michigan to wrap up our regular season. Then we're playoff racing. Daytona, Darlington, and Atlanta kick off round 1. And it's Watkins Glen, Bristol, and Kansas. Then Talladega, Charlotte, and Las Vegas for a cutoff race. A bunch of intermediates as cutoff races. Atlanta, despite being a super speedway style racetrack now, an intermediate size racetrack, checks in as a cutoff race. Kansas and Las Vegas as cutoff races should be a lot of fun. And of course, Phoenix is no longer just that one championship crowning event. You've got to go through Miami, Martinsville, and Phoenix. Let's get into the iRacing.com sim and get talking about these drivers on the racetrack. Practice has about 2.5 minutes left to go. We've got 26 drivers this evening checking in. Weather conditions, look at that track temp. 113 degree track temp. 79 in the air. It's not too hot in the air, but on track, it is cooking. It is toasty, and it just continues to get warmer and warmer. Adam Ball leads the way, though, in this practice session, which is very important to note as we take a look at car number 19. So Adam Ball from Collar City Racing might be one to watch this evening. Maybe this is where we get ourselves a new winner for the first time since, I want to say, Darlington with Ryan Patty. And yes, that would be correct. Darlington, Ryan Patty, the last new winner we've had this season. Going all the way back to the beginning of May, a race that wasn't even covered because it was on Mother's Day this year in 2024. But Vincent Loria and Brian Smith, don't look now. They are second and third here in practice. There's Loria. There's Brian Smith, a new paint scheme on that number 78 this evening. See, James and Haviland is back in the 25 car. It's been a while since we've seen the 25 on the track. Justin Bissonette in that picture as well. Nathan Brzezowski fourth in practice. Justin Bissonette fifth. So definitely a driver worth talking about. Jacob Smith. Oh, he finally got a paint scheme fixed up. How about that for Jacob Smith? Yes. Love that paint scheme. The Wood Brothers Harrison Burton look-alike. Cody Eldred this evening is in his Old School's Coins Chevrolet. Ryan Patty this evening in an Exalta Chevrolet, which is only so fitting. Coming to the Brickyard, that just makes a whole bunch of sense. Charlie Winder this evening, same usual paint scheme, and Zach Lockett sporting his Tennessee Titans paint scheme, as we've known, as we've come to love, in some way anyways, over the course of 2024. Look through some of the rest of the field. Anthony Teseo, Nathan Finnegan, Brad Delph in the 72 in the pit lane, Joshua Clemens in the 44 car, Sean Purcell, Kyle Purcell, of course, they're both here this evening. There's a look at Kyle Purcell. Scrapes the wall down the front stretch. Brock Hersey here. Eric Smith in the 79 is here. Stephen Tuck in the 10. And I mentioned Jameson Haviland. Well, he is slowest at the moment in practice. But practice will come to a close, and that will do it for our one practice session. We should have a warm-up between qualifying and the race. But as far as the actual practice session goes, that will do it for us this evening from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Let's take a look at our Whiplash SimCam's race details for the first time this evening. And you'll notice we've changed up that first line. It looks like a whole bunch of numbers. But this is going to help us visualize things a little bit better. So the stages, the stage breaks we're racing to, are at the completions of 18 and 57. Then the race ends at lap 96. That's 18 laps, 39 laps, and 39 laps, just like Pocono a week ago. Want to give a nod to our partners with Pit Stop TV, Whiplash Media SimCams, ATVO, and CC's Business, helping us get to and from the virtual racetrack. And on a personal note, I want to mention that I was at Dillon Motor Speedway last night with the Carolina Pro Late Models and Carolina Crate Modified Series. And of course, Ron Barfield's crew and everything that races locally at Dillon Motor Speedway. And if you're not familiar with Dillon, look it up. Fantastic little racetrack down in Dillon, South Carolina, just across the border from North Carolina. And really is a stand-up venue. Had a lot of fun last night on the mic. Even got to do some driver interviews. Got to talk to Carson Ware. Max Reeves, a local legend car driver that's been tearing it up at Cookout Summer Shootout. And some others there in the modifieds as well. And a rising star, maybe you'll hear his name later on in the big stuff. Oh, my brain just completely blanked. Wow, that's embarrassing. Evan, hang on. I can't believe this. I'll get his name here in a second, but we'll take a look at cars on track for qualifying. Let's ride on board with Cameron Thompson here in car number 7. He's on the racetrack, and let's just take in the sights as we've got some clouds building here for qualifying. Evan McKnight. Can't believe I couldn't get that one through my head. Cameron Thompson to the top of the board. Now Brian Smith goes fastest, a 53.0, and now Jacob Smith goes faster, breaking into the 52-second barrier. But Cameron Thompson on track that first lap. A pretty solid time, a 53.297, right about middle of the field so far. Jacob Smith fastest. Vincent Loria now goes to the second spot in car 67. Adam Ball goes third. And I'm curious what Adam Ball might have for us here this evening. Let's go on board with car 19. Down the long back straightaway into turn number 3, down to 4th gear. Brian Smith, a 52.448. That's faster than anybody else so far by a 10th. Ryan Patty now second. And here comes Adam Ball off the final corner. There's the ticker on the left side of the screen. Adam Ball to the start-finish line. Let's see, he won practice. What can he do in qualifying? It's not going to be good for pole, but it is going to be a bit faster. A 52.789 keeps him in the 5th position. Solid qualifying run, though, for Adam Ball. Loria goes 3rd. Ryan Patty will solidify himself in 2nd, and a lot of these runs are done now. Nathan Brzezowski, though, goes to the 3rd spot. Cody Eldred to 14th. Zach Lockett to 15th. Here's Lockett. Down the front straightaway to the start-finish line. Cody Eldred goes 7th. Ball is bumped down to 6th spot, and Zach Lockett bumps into the 12th position. See Jameson Haviland through turn number 2 now. Charlie Widener still waiting on that first win. Here he is down the front stretch. Might have something for us. To the start-finish line, and wait for it, across the line, 52.965. That's going to move him up the order now to the 10th position for Charlie Widener. Solid qualifying run for car 95. Oh, Jameson Haviland right out to the outside wall, a little bit free on corner exit. Start-finish line right about here. 53.438 for car 25. That bumps him up ahead of Brock Hersey by 1 position, so 17th now instead of 18th for Jameson Haviland. And that will do it just about for qualifying, and that will do it actually for qualifying this evening. Haviland will have to settle for that 17th starting spot. 28 cars now tuned in this evening, ready to go racing. Well, we already talked about the Whiplash SimCam's race details. Let's just meet our drivers throughout the field then. Look here, Anthony Teseo in the 15 car. Timothy Harper in the 12. Hanover Fist in the 69. All of these drivers rolling out for warm-up. Kevin Gunther, haven't gotten a look there at car 31 just yet. Evan Patinko down there in the 96. Let's bring in one driver and talk to him pre-race. We don't usually do this. And I'm looking for him. He is on the racetrack, so let's quickly grab a driver who was fast in practice. Adam Ball, I know you're on track for warm-up right now, but really fast in practice, a solid qualifying run as well. Clearly, we got to watch for car 19. Do you think you have a piece this evening that can go win this race? Well, that was Adam Ball. I promise I grabbed him, moved him into Discord, but a man of few words or no words in this case. Adam Ball on the racetrack in warm-up. Very, very fast in practice. Maybe we'll be talking to him later on properly after this race. Who knows? Before we go racing this evening from the world capital of motorsport, let's take a look at what's upcoming for us at Pit Stop TV. Next up, we head out to Long Beach on July 25th, this coming Thursday, for the North American Racing League and Maradness as they take on round number 4 of NRL action this season in GT3 cars at the Long Beach Street Course. As look at that, Adam Ball at the top of the board in warm-up. I'm excited for the North American Racing League to head back to streets, city streets in Long Beach. Should be a lot of fun. Always is with that bunch, no matter where they go, especially Long Beach. That was where they had their first Cash Days event way back when, I want to say September of 2021, a really fun one. And then Friday is the Luke's Playhouse Wellness Center and Gym 200, a first annual charity event presented by Pine Golf. We'll be headed out to the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California on July 26th. It's a Friday evening. That'll be a bunch of fun to tune into. We've got NASCAR drivers on tap to join us. Caden Honeycutt and a couple of others. NASCAR Truck Series driver Caden Honeycutt, along with racing in the ZMAX Cars Tour and the eNASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola Series on Tuesday evenings. And then Sunday, a week from today, we head out to Atlanta Motor Speedway, July 28th, 7:45 Eastern, for race 22 of this Icon Cup Series in 2024. Atlanta Motor Speedway on the old oval. Yes, the old oval. Meaning we've got bumps, we've got tricks up our sleeves, who knows. It's going to be a bumpy racetrack, not a lot of grip, old asphalt. It's going to be difficult for these drivers to find grip out there. Joshua Clemens, fast with maybe a draft lap. Yeah, it looks like a draft lap off of Kevin Gunther. The KU Motorsports 44 car has got some speed this evening. Does grab the fence there out of turn 4. But apparently, watch out for Joshua Clemens as well. He's got something up his sleeve. And he'll dive down to the inside of turn number 2. That's Kevin Gunther on his outside. He'll try and go by the 31 car and continue on his warm-up session. Ryan Patty now second quick in this session. A nod, of course, to some Jeff Gordon livery choices there. I want to mention Heath Smith has tuned in, well, not tuned in, but has signed up for this race now as well. So as I mentioned at the back of the qualifying, up to 28 cars ready to go racing from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. In Speedway, Indiana, there's no better place to go racing. Now, these guys used to run on the road course, the NASCAR Cup Series, NASCAR Xfinity Series. They did run on the road course for a handful of years. Now we're back on the big oval, just like the Indy cars. "28 cars ready to go racing from Indianapolis." Let's take a look at our CC's Business starting grid. Brian Smith on pole in car number 78. Ryan Patty rolls off in the second spot. We've been used to seeing these two drivers up front a whole lot on this starting grid graphic. Row number 2, though, Nathan Brzezowski, the young kid out of Troutman, North Carolina, in the 77 car. Vincent Loria there in the 4th spot will roll off on the outside of row number 2. Jacob Smith, another part-timer, rolls off 5th. Adam Ball, so fast in practice, he'll start from the 6th position. A little bit of work to do once this race goes green. Cody Eldred, Joshua Clemens, they make up the 4th row before we have Cameron Thompson and Charlie Widener checking in row number 5. Row 6, it'll be Brad Delth and Timothy Harper, the 72 and the 12 respectively. Zach Lockett, Justin Bissonette roll off 13th and 14th. And starting 15th and 16th, you'll find Kevin Gunther and Jacob Gladlich, a couple of drivers that are in right now by points, but would love to get a win here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway if things go their way. 17th and 18th, Jamison Haviland and Brock Hersey. 19th and 20th, it'll be Stephen Tuck and Eric Smith. A little deeper in the field, Robert Blue and Sean Purcell. Anthony Tiseo, Kyle Purcell. In the 25th spot, it'll be Hanover Fist. 26th, Heath Smith. And finally, on the back row of the grid, Nathan Finnegan serving a qualifying penalty, and Evan Patinko rolling off from dead last. So as Nathan Finnegan rolls around the speedway, the very back of the field, we'll go on board and take a look at our Whiplash SimCam's race details. Again, this first stage going to be a short one, 18 laps in distance, then 39 and 39 the second two stages, second and third. 5 change sets in the pit lane, no fast fix for these drivers. So everything holding about the same, and it says to be determined laps for fuel. We don't know the exact fuel number these drivers are looking at. They, of course, know it. They are ready to go racing, but we do expect 1 pit stop in each of the second and third stages. We shouldn't have a green flag pit stop cycle at all in stage number 1. These drivers, well, the NASCAR Cup Series drivers ran about 41 in the real world today. That was their fuel number. So if I had to guess, I would say we are somewhere around the 25 lap mark. Well, out of turn number 4 and to the restart zone, the iRacing.com pace car heads to the relative safety of pit lane and hands the field over to Brian Smith. 8 wins on the season. He's going to try and make it 9. We are green at Indianapolis. Whoa, big crash. Cameron Thompson, Brock Hersey, and Kyle Purcell. Lap number 1, torn up. Hanover Fist is in it. Cameron Thompson, though, was the big factor in all of that. And cars are already absolutely destroyed. Brock Hersey is absolutely junked. He's going to try to get the car back rolling, but it's not going to happen. So the first CC's caution comes out on lap 1. A look at it here. Cameron Thompson to the 7 was already spinning at that point. Goes down and hits the attenuator. Comes back across the racetrack and includes a whole bunch of race cars. So watch here, Cameron Thompson off the corner, just gets loose, goes down, hits the tire barrier, pow! Back across the track, Brock Hersey, Robert Bluen, the 01 of Kyle Purcell, the 69 of Hanover Fist. They're all in it. We'll go back on board. This is with driver 7. One more time with Cameron Thompson. Just gets free off the corner. Slides down, hits the wall, comes back across. Wow. Kyle Purcell nearly got through it. The onboard view for Purcell, he had a run out of the second corner, was trying to take it somewhere, ends up a big part of this crash. You see the nose came off of that car, actually came back on. I'm surprised. I think he might have actually missed this thing. I think he might have just missed this thing. I thought he was in it. It's right on board again. Initially there was damage. From the TV cameras, we saw the damage simulated on the car, but if we slow this down, Cameron Thompson crashing in the middle. He takes a little bit of a hit there to the side, but what a drift to miss the 24 car. And the nose of that car reappears right there. I think he's okay. Take a look from the perspective of car number 6, very back of the field, Nathan Finnegan. The car right in front of him going to be involved. That's hand over fist. Finnegan just turned left and hoped and prayed. Gets through it all. Robert Bluen now in the 99. He was a little slow off the corner. Thompson is down on the wall, and Bluen put it in the fence to try and miss it, but was not so lucky. There you see Bluen in the pit lane. He's not alone. Cameron Thompson is down there. Hand over fist in the 69 is down there. Brock Hersey's already out of this race. Kyle Purcell took extensive repairs. I say extensive, only 5 seconds in the box. Came in, made sure the car was all fixed up. There you see, I don't see any right side damage to that 01 car. I think he really dodged a big bullet there. That could have been so bad for Kyle Purcell on lap 1. He really could have been in a bad spot. Well, Brian Smith going to lead us back around, and we'll go back green this next time by. Brian Smith, Ryan Patty, Vincent Loria. Jacob Smith in the 4th spot. So a little bit of movement there on the opening start of this race, but nothing changing all that much. I think we changed spots through the 3rd, 4th, and 5th positions, and that was about it up front. Yeah, Cameron Thompson in the YouTube chat chiming in after his massive crash. Just a good way to start the race. Unfortunately, yeah, that was less than ideal for Cameron Thompson. Big hit to the inside wall. And that's just a freak place to hit it, too, to ricochet like that back across the racetrack and take out that many cars. And obviously, just a small mistake. It happens here in Indianapolis. It's easy in this NASCAR Gen 7 car to get free like that, get loose, and get behind the steering and have that kind of spin. Here we go. We're going to try this one more time. Down to the Geico restart zone. It's Brian Smith, Ryan Patty out front. 4 laps will be complete of 96. We're going to turn things back over to Brian Smith. Green flag is back out at Indianapolis. Saw Brian Smith drifting off the corner that time. He goes low, way down to the inside. Ryan Patty outside. So breaking the draft, lap number 1 was car 78. Oh, right out to the outside wall. A couple of cars getting it lap 1 out of turn 4. And down the front stretch, 1 lap will go complete. Brian Smith fastest that first time around as he gets away from the field. That arrow push is going to be a big deal all day long. Ryan Patty having to feel the brunt of it out front. So 24 cars with us as we work down the backstretch. You see the field all strung out. Jacob Smith looking up at Vincent Loria, trying to find a way by that 67 car already. It's lap 6, and these guys are fighting. Gotta love it. And really, it's lap 2 after going back green. Very calm race to start after we got through that bit of a crash, lap 1. Couple of quick green flag laps, calm laps, single file laps as Gunther and Lockett now battle off the second corner. Gunther outside, Lockett inside. See Nathan Brzezowski and Jacob Smith in the foreground. They're going to swap spots, so problem for Jacob Smith this lap. As soon as he got up to the 67 and challenged for third, he fell back to fifth. Challenge here of Jacob Smith looking up and taking the spot away from Nathan Brzezowski. And doing that snake down the backstretch. That's to, of course, break the draft. And what that means, if you're a little newer maybe to this kind of racing, it means they're trying to break the air, so there's less air resistance behind a car. You can technically go faster because your car is not having to face that wall of air. So if you follow closely enough behind another car, there's less air resistance, you can go faster, and that draft, as it's called, can really be a big help at a lap or saving fuel. Of course, if you're going faster, that's what you want in a race car. So if you break that draft, as the car ahead, you're able to slow the car behind you down a little bit and help protect your position. So Brian Smith out front doing the snake down the backstretch is trying to break the draft and not allow Ryan Patty to use the draft to move up closer towards him by corner entry. And that's how you'll see a lot of passes made here in Indianapolis, is a big draft down the straightaways into turns 1 and turn 3. In fact, we just saw it here. I mean, you see the 06 fires up the inside into turn 3. Going to bring the 95 now along with. Once you get one car out of line, they're going to fall back. You want to be on the very bottom of the racetrack, and if you're not on the very bottom of the racetrack, you're going to go backwards in a hurry. You see these guys hitting the wall trying to get out of the corner. A block there. This is Kevin Gunther. In this case, he's going down the racetrack to block the inside line. Does not want to get moved up. So that was less about breaking draft and more about blocking the advances of the 72 behind, making sure the 72 couldn't get to his inside. Now, the 72 of Delph pushes up out of the corner because he has less downforce, which is another part of the draft. When you're in the draft, you don't have that air going across the car. So when you go into the corner, you have less grip because there's less air forcing the car down into the track to give you grip. Little racing lesson at 200 miles per hour on laps 9 and 10 as Brian Smith continues to lead. Another lap complete. That's lap 10 now. On board with Ryan Patty, chasing Brian Smith about 4/10 the gap for our race leaders. Meanwhile, pass here, Adam Ball losing a spot to the 06 of Justin Bissonette. And there we go, seeing that draft snake down the front stretch one more time. We'll see it a lot today. Remember, stage 1, only 18 laps, so it's going to close down here in a hurry. In fact, we're on lap 12, which means we are going to be done with stage 1 here in 6 more laps once we get back to the start-finish line this time by. Just 6 laps to go in this stage. Oh, and Loria got the wall. Brzezowski gets the fence. Right out to it. Breaking the draft again down the backstretch. Trying to split up what these guys can do. Brian Smith trying to get that air on the nose of the 30 car, slow him down. Oh yeah, Hanover Fist tuning in from the YouTube chat. He's out of this race. Couple of decent fights back in the field. Nathan Finnegan, one of them. He works here on Kevin Gunther. That's for 10th. And he's got the spot, which means Brad Delph is going to have an opportunity here down the front stretch. You see, he's going to use the draft, pulls in line, now pulls out. He's going to try and send it and outbreak the 31 into the corner, but Gunther moves down and blocks, nearly runs in the back of the 6 car. Delph here can now power up, get to the inside for turn number 2, and hang that 31 car on the outside of the racetrack. A little bit of contact, maybe. Oh, a little more. Side by side they go down to turn number 3. These two staying side by side. Gunther up the racetrack in the wall hard. And he's going to bring it straight to pit lane after that hit. He's not alone. Jacob Smith comes in this lap. So Smith coming in, Gunther coming in. Going to make it a bit of a strategy call to pit early and not have to pit at the completion of the stage. So watch this for the 21 car. He's going to come into his box. He's going to stop, get fuel and tires, and head right back out. Meanwhile, a battle for second brews. We'll have 3 laps to go in stage 1, this time by the flag stand, and Vincent Loria looks up at Ryan Patty, wondering if he's going to get there and play, or if they're going to sit back and run single file like this all the way to the end of the stage. A little deeper in the field, Adam Ball in a train with Joshua Clemens, Charlie Widener, and the 6 car of Nathan Finnegan. Here's a move from Ball, looking to the inside in turn 3. Doesn't do anything with it, but he did poke his nose down there and show his nose in the mirror of car 44. That might open the door now for the 95 to come on through. It might not. Rather, here comes Finnegan on the 95 car as Vincent Loria pits this lap. 2 laps to go on the stage. There you see Vincent Loria taking service. He'll head back out shortly. Is it 2 tires or is it 4? It's going to be all 4 for the 67 car. And he'll get back out in just a moment. There he goes. Meanwhile, Brian Smith off of the 4th turn. 1 more lap to go in stage number 1. Little battle for the back. Still Clemens and company. Here comes Widener, though, between turns 1 and 2, and Widener's going to push to the inside. Clemens gives him all the room in the world, all kinds of daylight down there. That pass is made. Now Sean Purcell looks up ahead as we have the white flag at the stage. Adam Ball is currently the final car in stage points. Nathan Finnegan, though, has an opportunity to change that if he can just get to that 19 car before the end of the stage. He'll grab himself a stage point. Further up ahead, Brian Smith comes across the line, and stage 1 is complete. Cautions out. Brian Smith, Ryan Patty, Nathan Brzezowski, Justin Bissonette, and Adam Ball, your top 5. They will each earn points for this stage. And that'll do it for us in stage number 1. We'll be right back after a quick Pit Stop TV side-by-side with Pit Stops.
Friday, July 26th. Take the next gen to the California Sands at Auto Club for the inaugural Luke's Playhouse 200 charity race. A $5 minimum entry fee donation gives you the chance to race against real NASCAR stars and show support for Luke's Playhouse's commitment to providing aquatic therapy for children and adults with chronic illnesses. 100 laps, no stages. 1 winner. Catch all the action July 26th on Pit Stop TV.
Pit stops underway down the front stretch. A couple of cars staying out. Those, of course, Loria and Smith. Brian Smith with the stage win. Jacob Smith stays out. And the entire field going to come in and take service. Or, of course, most of the entire field. Lagelich going to roll through. That way he can pit later in the caution, but it should be 4 tires and Sunoco race fuel up and down pit lane. Sure enough, here comes Bissonette. There goes Patty, going to beat the 78 car out, and Brian Smith is going to drop to what I think will effectively be 5th. We'll grab driver 78 this evening. After a stage 1 like that, it's hard to argue with the speed Brian Smith has. But Brian, first off, how was the car in that first stage?
It was pretty good. I'm trying to figure out if I should be shifting or not, but that first stage was a mix of both, so we'll just have to see how the rest of the thing goes. But yeah, it's driving good.
And now that's going to shuffle you back a little bit for the start of the stage. We saw it was difficult to pass the NASCAR Cup race earlier today. Are you concerned about it here in the Icon Cup Series? I mean, it looks like it's difficult to pass, but it can be done.
Yeah, you know, it looks like a few guys short pit me on that stage, which is something I anticipated would happen. And I think the fact they were actually able to get a couple laps on their tires is going to help a lot. It takes, you know, a few laps to get going here when we put 4 on it. So hopefully I can fire off good enough to pick up a few spots on this restart, and we'll just have to see how far out front they get.
And how about the new paint scheme? First time seeing this particular paint job on the car, although it's not too different. You do have some new logos on there. Tell us about them.
Yeah, it's Wildlife Warriors is a wildlife conservation organization through the Australia Zoo, so figured I'd change it up and throw a foundation on the hood and just something different.
We've seen Outback Motorsports in the silhouette there of Australia on the front and rear bumpers of the car. Why Outback Motorsports? Why Australia there?
You know, I've just always been really into Outback and long-range expedition travel in Australia. It's something I'd really like to do someday, and had to come up with some kind of identity for the team, and that's what I went with, just having fun with it.
There you go, Brian Smith with 20 laps led, a stage win under his belt already. Best of luck here, Brian.
Thanks.
We'll let him get back down with his uncle, Eric Smith. Eric this evening in the 79 as per usual. Running in the 20th spot. Actually, looks like he'll restart 18th. So it'd be nice for Eric to get a good run today here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. Up front, Vincent Loria, Jacob Smith, your front row. Ryan Patty, Justin Bissonette. Going to line up in row number 2. Let's get a double interview here really quick. Let's do something bold. We're going to be bold and talk to Vincent Loria quickly. Vincent, you pitted right at the end of the stage, stayed out here under the caution. How do the tires feel on that short of a run and then going back green like this?
Super duper loose, like crazy loose. I'm hoping that this clean air fixes it. Little strategy call to get me up to the front. We'll see how it pans out.
We will see how it pans out. Best of luck.
All right, thanks.
Vincent Loria, that quick word as we get ready to go back. Green flag racing. Vincent Loria, Jacob Smith, your front row. Ryan Patty, Justin Bissonette, row 2. Brian Smith restarts from 5th. Green flag back in the air at Indianapolis. Ryan Patty cleared to 2nd. Jacob Smith falls back to 4th. Patty puffs the outside wall there on the 30 car. He's going to pull down and block the 21. Here we go. Pass being made. Jacob Smith going to pull to the inside of the 30 car and look for that 2nd spot. Going to draw alongside and draw back ahead of car number 30 into turn number 3. That's that draft and then pass by turn 3 we're talking about. Although it was a little less draft and a little more capitalization on a mistake from the 30 car. The field file off of turn number 4 in a single file line for the most part. Brian Smith in 4th. We'll be watching him a lot throughout stage number 2. And remember, we're racing now to the completion of lap 57 in this stage, so a long ways to go. Caution. Sean Purcell in trouble. Sean Purcell here on the 0-4. Charlie Widener to the inside. Purcell grabs the wall big time and spins across the nose of Widener. That was a really big hit for the 0-4 car. On board. It's a wonder he wasn't hit by anybody when he spun across the racetrack. Anybody else, that is. It really could have been a whole lot worse than it was. It still obviously is not a good spin or good thing at all for the 04 car. That could have been a whole lot worse as we watch here from these angles. Purcell just into the safer barrier hard. Patinko went with him, and I think that was part of it, is he was following Patinko so closely. He kind of got sucked into what Patinko was doing. Patinko went out and got the wall himself in the 96 car. And you can see right there just a massive, massive hit. I know Sean Purcell, I think, going to be a little bit frustrated with that. But Sean, what happened?
Yeah, it's just that dirty air. I was a little bit on someone's outside, and then they were right behind me, and I was right behind someone else, and it just stopped turning. But, it's what it is. It's mostly repairable. Hopefully be able to hold on to the draft. I'm not so sure. I've had a long day. I'm pretty tired.
Definitely going to make that day longer when you get the wall like that, spin across the nose of another car, but pretty likely not to be hit by anybody else. You say it's repairable, so possibly back in this race. Is it going to take a couple of pit stops? Do we see you maybe come back a little bit stronger in Stage 3 than Stage 2?
There's definitely going to be some lasting damage to the steering, so we'll see how that plays out, at race pace, but it doesn't feel too bad right now, just a little pulley. I'll be able to finish up the repairs just in a second here, and then be with the pack for the restart. So we'll see how it goes.
Before the damage, how was the car? I mean, we saw the crash lap 1 with Cameron Thompson and your brother Kyle Purcell. Clearly, these cars are a little bit twitchy here.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough with a fairly flat track with high speeds. It's tough to get the most out of it, and everyone's trying to, at least keep their spot in the train. And I was struggling a bit with that, but I know my limit. I just changed my tires. God, well, you know what? It is what it is. It's a race.
Oh, I apologize for that, but
no, it's not your fault. It's all good.
Definitely appreciate your time here, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. I'm gonna need it.
Sean Purcell in car 04, frustrated, I'm sure, but thankful that we got to talk to him there. Get a view into what is going on for driver 04 in Chicagoland Racing. He'll head back out onto the racetrack in the 23rd spot. There you see the field in the background. And we're going to keep making our rounds here. We've spoken with Brian Smith, Vincent Loria. Let's take a dive. Let's see here. Somebody that had a bad race at Pocono, had some things go wrong a week ago. Zach Lockett, how's the car feel today? Hopefully better than whatever happened at Pocono a week ago.
What is going on?
Well, that's what we're wondering about you. How's the car feel? What happened at Pocono a week ago?
Hey, feeling good. Pocono just had a disconnection issue with my my PC, so that left me a couple laps down. Just couldn't really get back from that. But car's feeling pretty good here tonight. I smacked the wall a couple times pretty lightly, just trying to get a feel for the changing track temps, and trying to set myself up for a good finish here. I want to get some more points and continue to distance myself from that playoff bubble.
We do have really high track temps tonight, and clearly we've seen cars be twitchy already. Cars get the wall, and you would think you hit the wall pretty hard like you guys have been doing, that would damage these cars, but it seems like you and others have bounced off and been okay. I mean, how durable are these cars and the tow links?
Yeah, I don't want to push the limit, but so far it's been pretty durable. I haven't got any X's or anything from it, so I think mine have been pretty light scrapes, but hopefully that's the last of them. Just got to settle in here and keep running my race, and then get a good finish here.
How precious are tires? Do you think you could try and save a set here during this stage?
Man, that's now we got 4 sets lying in the pits for this race. Yeah, it's definitely going to be tough. I think that's going to be my plan, to try to save a set, try to run easy here. But it's going to be interesting to see how the strategy plays out, no doubt.
Best of luck here on the restart.
Thanks.
Zach Lockett going to restart from the 11th position. We'll get him back with his team and let him focus back up, as up ahead, Vincent Loria has chosen the outside lane for this restart. He'll bring us down to the restart zone. Jacob Smith leaning back just a little bit. Green flag gonna fly, and we are back racing at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Jacob Smith gets clear of Brian Smith. Brian gonna fall back now to Ryan Patty side by side for the 3rd position. Patty gonna use up the 78 just a little bit. Contact between the two. They'll work down the straightaway now, side by side, nose to nose, bumper to bumper, and you see that row behind them, the 06 and 77 pulling in. And Bissonette misses the corner, shoves the 77 just a tiny bit up the racetrack. Ryan Patty trying to get something here on Brian Smith. Better in the corner, and going to have a run off as Brzezowski hits the wall behind him. Ryan Patty all the way to the inside wall. The outside lane, though, prevailing with momentum down the straightaway. Contact, and Patty nearly spins the 78 of Brian Smith, who's just able to gather it up. Will now fall back to Justin Bissonette and Nathan Finnegan. Finnegan now an opportunity to race here with the 78 car of Brian Smith. How about this for a restart? Bissonette with the pressure, gonna fold and let the 78 car go by. Meanwhile, don't look now, but we've got a fight for the race lead. Vincent Loria, Jacob Smith gonna fight off of the 4th corner and down the front stretch here for position number 1. I say that, and I look in team channels. That might have been a teammate restart that we saw. I think Jacob is working with Vincent Loria. We'll talk more about that later as we take a look back a little further in the field, right back where we were. Bissonette, Finnegan, and I wanted to say Hocevar for a second. No, that's Brzezowski in the 77 car. Pulling out a line a little deeper back, Timothy Harper looks to the inside of Josh Clemens and of Zach Lockett. Lockett falling down to 12th on this run. And in the wall, there was the 0-1 of Kyle Purcell. Harper now goes by for 12th. Ryan Patty fastest that lap as he drafts off of these two leading the race, trying to get away and run this race themselves. You see here, Loria is giving room, giving air to the 21 car so they can both make the corner each time. And then down the straightaways, you see the 21 is pushing the 67 until they get to the corner. Really interesting strategy from these guys up at the front. That's going to bring Ryan Patty into the fold, though, so they couldn't quite get away. It didn't work out exactly how they wanted. Brian Smith even just about a second back, so he's got the draft. Oh, Smith in the wall, Patty in the wall. These guys are letting it hang out on corner exit. They are fearless, getting up into the wall and just not caring. on board with Ryan Patty, looking up at Jacob Smith. That 21 got the wall pretty good that time out of the corner. And we are a third of the way through this race. 4 cars now underneath 2/3 of a second between the 4 of them. Bissonette's not far back at a 2nd and 6/10. There you see all 4 racing for the lead. And kind of riding right now. I think they're going to want to get to where they have about 25 laps to go before the pit window opens. And right now, I think we're right about at that mark. You go to 57, right? 25 back from that. You're thinking 37 and 5 more, so 32. So, yeah, pit window just recently opened up for these guys if they wanted to. Assuming about 25 laps, maybe 24. But we're going to see them work a little bit deeper, I think, till about maybe even 15 to go. Well, while they run and while they work on their strategies, we'll go Pit Stop TV Sounds of the Sim, let you listen in and get a feel for what it's like to drive these cars a little bit, maybe be at the racetrack for one of these events, and just give you a nice ambiance in general. will crank it down, as they say, and come right back to this fight for the race lead. Brian Smith pulls on through and brings Vincent Loria. Loria gonna go up and smash the outside wall. That stacks up now to Brian. Oh no, spinning! Ryan Patty hard in the inside wall, and that is likely going to be a caution flag. We don't have one yet, but he is going to reverse, and there we go. Caution will fly. Incredible turn of events, very, very suddenly. Picked a good time to come back from Sounds of the Sim. So the onboard for Ryan Patty. See Loria go on through. Big send through turn 2. Got to the back end of Brian Smith a little bit. And the checkup just gets the 30 car free. Goes for a slide and boom, inside wall. And he gave Loria a shot there into the corner. Ran up the racetrack. These guys were getting physical for the race lead. See, he was trying to drive out of it. Boom. If we go back a little bit, you'll see this was set up by Brian Smith and Jacob Smith racing for the lead. Contact there between the two of them. They'll swerve back up to the outside to get a run into the corner. And Vincent Loria got the wall in the first place to lose the race lead to Jacob Smith. And then actually, Smith might have gotten loose on his own. I thought Loria hit him. I'm not so sure anymore. But pit stops will get going for all of these drivers. See Nathan Finnegan into his box, along with the 96 of Evan Patinko. Brian Smith leads us down, and everybody will file into their pit boxes. Working off the pit lane, the 06 of Justin Bissonette going to have the race lead. The 6 follows, and that was Nathan Finnegan. Ryan Smith, by taking 4 tires, is going to fall all the way back outside of the top 10. Jacob Gladgelich, though, stays out along with Timothy Harper. Harper had just pitted. We saw that in the Sounds of the Sim segment, so he will likely stay on the racetrack. But I think this number 14 may come in later in this caution, top up on fuel, and treat this. I think everybody going to treat this as the opportunity to pit for the one time in stage 2 that they need to. Bissonette, first car off the pit lane. We'll grab driver 06 and talk with him. First car off the pit lane, winning the race off the pits. Car 06, Justin Bissonette. How's the car feel, and why the choice for 2 tires? No tires. It seems like you're not alone based on that pit time then. I think a whole lot of drivers, including Timothy Harper right in front of you, going no tires. And, of course, that saves the set now, but how detrimental is that going to be the rest of this stage if you've got guys like Brian Smith on 4? You've had a couple of really solid runs lately. You're just about locked into the playoffs now on points. You're catching up to Charlie Widener, in fact, as being the top driver without a win. So when is that win going to come? When are you finally going to get into victory lane? best of luck here as you're going to restart third. I'm kind of surprised Gladulich is staying out ahead of you. Is that a concern at all for you, or is that going to help you in any way, or how do you view that? Do you think you can get 3 even to push the issue, or would you even want to push 3? Best of luck here on the restart. Justin Bissonette, 3rd place for this restart on lap 42, coming to 43. Always good to talk to Justin. Feel like at one point he was kind of the Ross Chastain of this series. That's since changed a little bit. I think just the aggression factor has gone down. He's kind of zoned in and got ready to try and push for the playoffs, and we'll see how this evening goes. As we near halfway this evening at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the green flag is back out for the Icon Cup Series. And Bissonette straight to the inside of Harper. Going to get that spot away, it looks like. And bring others on through. Brian Smith, after restarting, I believe, in 11th, is already up to 7th. Vincent Loria went deep in the field after taking repairs, and Brian Smith, the first car on 4 tires, is flying through these guys. Patinko also on 4. Harper all the way to the outside wall that time in turn 3. Bissonette gonna charge for the race lead. And he's gonna bring Nathan Finnegan. So the 6 and the 06 challenging here for position number 1. Gunther caught on the outside. Here comes Brian Smith snaking through this field. He's burnt an extra set of tires compared to these guys, and you see what it's doing for him. He is driving through these guys, absolutely blowing back up to the race lead. Almost. Not quite there. A couple of cars slow. 3 wide, though. Brad Delph. Whoa, a big shot from Loria to Widener. And Loria is going to get caught by Widener. They go up the racetrack, nearly a crash there in turn 3. Everybody saves it. I don't know how. Here we go. Brian Smith working on Nathan Finnegan. Bissonette fell back to 3rd. Here comes the 78 car down to the inside. He's going to lead lap 44 and charge back ahead with the only 4 tires in the top 5 as a problem happens for Jacob Smith. It looks like some connection issues for the 21 car. He is blinking like a Christmas tree. Smith also on 4 tires. So both Smith's 4 tires. Here he goes. Making it 3 wide down the backstretch into turn number 3. And Jacob Smith is going to have position number 3. Harper stays just ahead of Evan Patinko. Patinko, the next car on 4 tires. Then it'll be Joshua Clemens in the 44 car and Brad Delph in the 72. See some damage there to the 12 car of Harper. Right front crumpled in a little bit. That might help open the door for Patinko as Harper bobbles off the corner big time. On board with Adam Ball. Oh, Harper down to the inside. The 12 car on the access road. And he's going to gather it up and rejoin the field down in 15th spot. Ahead, though, you see Vincent Loria to the inside of Adam Ball and Kevin Gunther. Loria now charges to the 8th position. He's got 4 fresh tires. Patinko working on Gladulich. That'll be for 5th. Gunther defending over the 67. And Loria going to have that spot. Patinko going to move on by on the bottom side, so he goes by down low. Brad Delph, Adam Ball. And so most of this is sorted out to kind of stagger who's on tires and who's not. Brian Smith leading the race has got tires. Then it's no tires for Finnegan. Tires for Jacob Smith in 3rd. No tires for Bissonette in 4th. Tires for Patinko in 5th. And then tires for Loria in 6th, who grabs the wall again. No tires for Gladulich in 7th. No tires for Gunther in 8th. Tires for Clemens in 9th. And tires for Delft in 10th. Gunther here, no tires in that 31 car. He's sliding back. And Finnegan loses 2nd place. So Jacob Smith now gets through to 2nd, some 1.8 seconds behind Brian Smith. And these guys are racing to the completion of lap 57 for stage 2. That means I think Brian Smith is far and away on his way to a stage win if this holds, as Patinko and Loria now fight down the backstretch. Patinko giving up that spot. He falls into 6th. Loria moves into 5th. And you see Clemens and Gladulich are side by side. Clemens fires through. Gonna bring Brad Delph along with. Here comes Loria. Opportunity here on Bissonette. Eight laps to go in stage 2. Patinko rolls on by. That's 5th spot now that Patinko's got. That is going to be a huge pass Evan just made. If he can just hang on to it, that is a stage point. And I know 1 point doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you are as far back as he is, anything is going to help. Evan Patinko just moved into 5th from 6th spot as they cross the line. Started 28th in this race, absolutely dead last. Now into the 5th position. If this race just keeps going his way as it is at the moment, boy, what a special, special day it could be for Evan Patinko. Could be a lot of points up for grabs. I mean, coming into this evening, 67 points to the cut line. And with Cody Neal not here, that's going to adjust a little bit, so that brings him in another 25 points or so. So he's still over 40 points back from the cut line. This could be the start of something big for Evan Patinko. This could be exactly what he needs to get the ball rolling and get himself into the Icon Cup Series playoffs. Behind him, Gladulich falling back to 12th now. Here comes Berzowski in the 77. Gladulich up the racetrack. There goes Purcell. Here comes Eldred. Charlie Widener works here on Adam Ball for the 10th spot. And that'll be a pass made for Widener as they go down the backstretch. That is good for 10th. Ball falls to 11th. He led practice, but he is going the wrong direction in a hurry right now. Adam Ball on no tires, so those tires are screaming at this point. He's at a disadvantage versus most of these guys that he's racing. Brzezowski, though, also on no tires. Gunther, it looks like, grabs the wall, or at the very least is slow off the corner, and now Gladjulich has not yet pitted. I think was banking on one more caution. Pits here. And car 14 is going to kind of reset. Up ahead for the third spot, Vincent Loria closes in here on Nathan Finnegan inside of a quarter second. And here comes the opportunity from Loria. Drafted up to the 6th car and is going to have the spot into turn number 1. Goes right on by car 6 like he's standing still. Finnegan, of course, understands the situation, knows that he's on worse tires, lets the 67 have it, and Finnegan's still going to collect a couple of stage points, which is still going to be somewhat of a win. As there's the 30 of Ryan Patty, slow on the racetrack. He is 1 lap down and just trying to nurse that 30 car around. Brad Delph, Justin Bissonette side by side. Delph on tires, Bissonette is not. I'll recap where things are at with the point standings coming into this race. Brian Smith with 8 wins, Vincent Loria with 7, Nathan Finnegan with 2, Patty and Harper with 1 each. All 5 of those drivers here this evening. Charlie Widener comes into tonight in the 6th spot, 160 points to the good. And that will very much hold station for him. Nothing really changing for Widener. He runs, let's see, where's the 95? 9th spot. Another consistent day for the 95 car. Bissonette runs, let's see, in position number 8. And make that 6 as Widener goes by. Those two battling to be the top driver without a win yet this season. Gladjulich and Purcell, they're separated on the racetrack. Of course, Gladjulich just pitted. Kyle Purcell runs in 13th. It's all of those guys just doing what they have to do. But as far as the cut line, Cody Eldred, as Jacob Smith is going to pit here before the stage. Cody Eldred runs in 13th. Brock Hersey runs in, well, he's out of the race. So a big deal there on the cut line that's going to help Brad Delph and Evan Patinko. And is even going to help Cody Neal stay in this thing if he is still racing with us full time. If he's not, that's going to open things up for Hersey, Delph, and Patinko to have one hell of a fight as we get down to playoff time later in this season. A little fight here deeper in the field. Anthony DeSeo, Eric Smith, Stephen Tuck, and Robert Bluen. The Mario machine back there. They'll pass the slower car, number 30, Ryan Patty. Of course, all that right front damage from his spin. And we are on to the final lap of stage number 1 as Brzezowski will pit here. Trying to undercut the stage, but pitting on the last lap of the stage, I'm not sure if that's allowed or not. Usually, pits will close with 2 laps to go. This is on the final lap of stage 2. In fact, here comes Brian Smith, a 5.2 second lead over Vincent Loria to the end of stage number 2. Green and white checkered flag for car 78. There's the caution. It's Loria, Finnegan, Patinko, and Clemens the back end of your top 5. So Clemens grabs himself a point, and Patinko grabs himself 2 stage points. There's driver 78 pulling around to try and catch up to the pace car. Stage winner, second time this evening. Has now swept both of the stages, but that only tells a partial story. So as we get ready for pit stops, we'll go Pit Stop TV side by side briefly and come back with pit stops and a driver interview.
On Friday, July 26th, take the next gen to the California Sands at Auto Club for the inaugural Luke's Playhouse 200 charity race. A $5 minimum entry fee donation gives you the chance to race against real NASCAR stars and show support for Luke's Playhouse's commitment to providing aquatic therapy for children and adults with chronic illnesses. 100 laps, no stages, one winner. Catch all the action July 26th on Pit Stop TV.
Welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Pit stops happening. Brian Smith comes down into his box. This should be 4 tires and fuel for everybody, but we might see a couple of outliers take 2 tires. A lot of the field, though, took no tires at the previous caution, so this should be 4 down and away for everybody, and it will be. No 2-tire options for these drivers, it looks like, under this round of pit stops. Brian Smith works back out. He will restart behind Jacob Smith. Nathan Finnegan in 3rd, Vincent Loria 4th, and Evan Patinko, Charlie Widener, Brad Delph, Justin Bissonette, Joshua Clemens, and Adam Ball. Vincent Loria did go 2nd in the stage, but we've talked to him once already. And I want to talk to Nathan Finnegan, somebody who has driven from the very back of this field up into the top 3 by the end of stage number 2 and is going to restart 3rd here for stage number 3. Nathan, you started 27th, serving a qualification penalty. How in the world have you been running up front for this long? You got up front in a hurry. Clearly, car 6 has got some speed.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Yeah, URI Chevy Camaro is pretty dialed in. Similar to Pocono, Phoenix, New Hampshire, really like momentum, flat track style racing. And honestly, all things considered, for when to get the DNQ penalties, the 2 tracks on the schedule the following weeks kind of suited me. So I guess best time to get a penalty if we're going to get one.
And now we're going to work into stage 3 here. Any concern about that 78, how fast he's been today?
Yeah, Brian's definitely got some speed. They definitely brought a great race car. Really curious now to see where we kind of stack up now that we're kind of matched up on field position anyway, to see where we really shake out on the short and the long run. So.
Yeah, you were on those old tires for that run. Is that something you guys are going to try again here in stage 3, or was that to save a set so that you can take tires in stage 3 and still have a set later on?
Yeah, we wanted to take a gamble a little bit on possible stage win, stage points, and hold on to a set just to keep one lane just in case. And if things fall our way in terms of cautions later on here, give us some options. And yeah, we ended up doing that, and we still got a couple stage points to boot. So all in all, worked out pretty well.
You mentioned you like these flatter racetracks. California's coming up. Is that another one maybe where we can see you? I know there's some decent banking, but in terms of intermediates, it's pretty flat. Is there another track where we see you be fast?
I do like Fontana, so looking forward to going back there. Wish a couple guys real life were still racing there, but it'll be good to run here virtually. So.
All right, well, Nathan, best of luck in stage number 3. Got a pretty good starting spot for it. We'll be watching out for the URI Chevrolet.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Nathan Finnegan going to restart from 3rd spot. It's the Smiths out front. Jacob Smith, Brian Smith, then Finnegan 3rd, Loria 4th. Evan Patinko going to restart 5th. I can't praise that guy enough after that stage 2 result, getting himself a couple of stage points. That is a big deal. When you are trying to make up points in this kind of format, to get those stage points and capitalize on the stages, and it's done so rarely to that kind of solid execution. That was really nice stuff from the 96 car. Charlie Widener going to restart 6th, then Brad Delph and Justin Bissonette. Joshua Clemens, you got himself a stage point, and Adam Ball will complete our top 10 as you see the 0-4 catch up. We'll work down to the Geico restart zone and hand things over to driver 21, Jacob Smith, going to lead us back out of this latest CC's caution. Green flag back out at Indianapolis. Down the backstretch, there you see bobbing and weaving as the 78 trying to break that draft that we talked about earlier. Even Jacob Smith trying to break the draft out ahead as he's got himself a couple of 10th race lead into turn number 3. Smith is on slightly older tires, just a couple of laps on those Goodyear Eagles. So it's Jacob Smith, Brian Smith, Nathan Finnegan, Vincent Loria. Widener got the best of Patinko on the restart. Brad Delph and Justin Bissonette going to fight as we work towards the start-finish line to complete 1 lap in stage number 3. Oh, Loria way up the racetrack that time, nearly getting the outside wall. And a fight again between Delph and Bissonette. Brad Delph has been in the conversation a lot today, just here and there in the top 10, and it's really refreshing to see, again, somebody who needs those points to get into the playoffs, going up there and capitalizing, taking an opportunity given to him, and using it to the best of his ability. He does let Adam Ball go by, tries to slot in front of Joshua Clemens and Will for the 9th position. But it's been really refreshing to see a lot of these guys, even Joshua Clemens in the top 10. Guys who are looking for those points here late in this regular season, moving up and capitalizing on other drivers and simply not being in front of them at this point in time, and grabbing themselves some stage points in the case of Patinko and Clemens. Really cool to see, refreshing to see, especially for Patinko. He's had such bad luck this season, would probably be in the playoffs right now by points, if not for it. I will say Clemens headed the wrong direction on this restart. He's down to 12th. Kyle Purcell goes by. Zach Lockett now looks on. Cody Eldred there. And Brzezowski, gets the wall on corner exit. Did lose a lap. So he lost a lap in that whole exchange. He is 1 lap down in 20th position. Ryan Patty, the only other car, 1 lap down, as Sean Purcell rides 2 laps down. But everybody more or less on the same pit strategy aside from Jacob Smith, who continues to lead this race as we work lap 65 of 96. See bobbing and weaving, Jacob Smith, Brian Smith. Trying to break that draft as we work 31 laps to go. And a blink again there from the 21 car as Vincent Loria loses, or rather tries to gain third spot from the 6 car of Finnegan. On board with car 67. The field is pretty well single file at this point in time. Not a whole lot happening. Kind of a conveyor belt race right now. These guys just in line racing around. Small battles across the racetrack. Finnegan and Loria going to be one of them as they work down to turn number 3. Working together maybe are the 6 and 67. Not something I would have ever expected. They've had a couple of run-ins this year. Mostly, I'm going to be honest, kind of onset by the 67 of Loria, just small things here and there, racing things, but they've really upset the 6 car at times, and I think driven a rift between these two drivers. So to see them working together right now at 3rd and 4th is really quite interesting, but they've got a common goal, and that's to beat the 78 car this evening. Of course, the 6 would like to beat the 67 as well, but I think they'll save that part for just a little bit later on. Of course, Jacob Smith trying to work against the 78 car here, moving around, breaking that draft, swerving down the straightaways, trying to slow the 78 down a little bit, keep him from having such an advantage on corner entry in 1 and 3. And they now work behind the slower 04, who actually dips onto the access road. That was Sean Purcell going a 3rd lap down, so that car just not where he needs it to be after issue upon issue today. We'll hop on board with car 01, Kyle Purcell. Trying to chase down Brad Delph and make it into the top 10. I say that, and Brian Smith is going to charge on the outside of the racetrack, looking for the race lead. Jacob Smith loses the nose and nearly takes the 78 car out. I'm going to look back at that. Trying to dip deeper in the field and see what else is going on, and then this happens down to turn number 3. Look at the run the 78 car gets on the outside of the racetrack. And Jacob Smith sets into the corner. It just kind of goes straight up the racetrack. Here's the onboard from Brian Smith to take the race lead. Just got a good run on a corner number 2. Side drafts down the backstretch. And then from Jacob Smith's perspective, car got free and then kind of washed up the racetrack. Now that arrow wash working against Jacob Smith. You see him lose the nose a little bit, climb up the racetrack there in 1. Tries to get down and use the left side air in 2. Just grabs the outside wall a little bit. Vincent Lauria, Nathan Finnegan, they still fight for third and fourth, although, and they're trying to work together, it looks like, and real close there to the wall out of corner number 4. They dip down, Bob back up to the top. Bobby and Weaving, breaking the draft, snaking down the straightaways. Brad Delph, Zach Lockett side by side. This is for 11th spot. Nathan Brzezowski here as well, although he's a lap down. The fight really is between that maroon 72 and the black and white 93. Clearly, Brad Delph must have listened at Gateway when I talked about the M&M paint scheme that he had on the car then. Celebrating, I believe, that was his Houdini car. Now he's got the Death of Slim Shady, A Coup de Grace, the new album from M&M on that car. And clearly he's playing to the commentator here. Trying to get some brownie points, and he's going to get them, Brad Delph is. Oh, and Lockett about carried him off into the corner with his bumper. Real close there to turn number 1. Brad Delph, though, lives to see the next corner, as that was lap 72. Fitting, then, that we talked about him in car 72. We'll go back to the top 4, though. Vincent Lauria is now within a second of Brian Smith, the race leader. I should say 4 now within a second, because he's just lost that second mark. Brian Smith setting sail, getting away from Jacob Smith and others. These guys, though, are just within the pit window, so they could pit it realistically any time and try to run a little bit faster lap times, but how much faster would they run? I don't know that there would be much of a gain, maybe a couple of tenths here and there. At the same time, a couple of tenths might be all they need. Gotta say, there's some other drivers doing really good jobs this evening. Of course, our top 4 have been a lot of fun to watch. Bissonette, though, with the top 5. Widener 6th. Patinko 7th. Adam Ball 8th. I'd say are all doing a fantastic job and having races that we just have not seen from them lately. I mean, Bissonette, maybe, I'd say, yeah, he's on a run. But Widener just has been less and less consistent as this season has gone on. Started so consistent, but a really solid return to where we usually see him, contending like he could race for a race win here this evening. Patinko looking good, was top 5 there in the stage. He just right on board with the Pit Stop TV US Air Force 67. Gives a bump there. Oh, hello. A bump there to Nathan Finnegan. Gets a little free off of corner number 2. And they'll work down the backstretch. Again, these drivers could pit realistically at any time and make it to the end of just about where that was 22 laps to go the last time by the flag stand. It'll be 21 this time by. As Lockett and Eldred fight. Oh, and this is why Brzezowski's trying to go by these drivers all while being a lap down. And Lauria's going to pit. So just as I was saying, these guys could pit at any time. Well, there we go. Pit window is opened up, and the 67 licensed. He's going to bring the 44 along with. That's a teammate in Joshua Clemens. So the pit lane has opened up for business. 21 laps to go. Question is, how much do our leaders cover up this undercut? Do they pit right away? And is this a 4-tire stop or a 2-tire stop for Vincent Lauria? It's going to be a 4-tire stop. All 4 tires going on that Ford Mustang Dark Horse. For Clemens, it should be about the same. 2 tires there. 2 more should go on the lefts. And it'll be exactly that, a 4-tire pit stop. For Joshua Clemens in the 44 car. Brian Smith then down the front stretch trying to put those 2 1 lap down. And more pit stops. Finnegan, Smith, and so many others working down the pit lane this lap. There's Finnegan. Wow. This was the money lap, apparently. Covering up the undercut. Finnegan in. Jacob Smith is in. Taking advantage of pitting as soon as possible. We'll see if we have any two-tire stops here. Smith into his box. Finnegan could absolutely go for 2, and he has. He's gone for 2 tires. The 06 will go for 4. The 21, meanwhile, going to go for 4. But the 6 car of Nathan Finnegan just might be our race leader when this thing cycles out, pending what Brian Smith does. Brian Smith, holding his own strategy, stays on the racetrack. He's got a 6-second race lead to Charlie Widener in the next Toyota Camry. There he is. Evan Patinko says no. He will pit. Patinko pits, Gunther pits, Delph pits. So it's Smith, Widener, Eldred, Gladlich, and Tuck, your top 5 currently, as pit stops set in here at Indianapolis. This could be a bit of a preview of what we see next week as well. Green flag pit stops maybe at the old Atlanta Motor Speedway in 1 week's time. Stay tuned on our social media platforms for more information about when that race will be. Of course, it'll be next Sunday, 7:45 Eastern, but you can get an idea of exactly when we'll be going live and whatnot, and see our posts on our social media channels all listed below, as Brian Smith will pit this lap with about 18 laps remaining in this race. And we'll see, does he cover up the 2 tires from Nathan Finnegan? Does he even know that Finnegan took 2 tires? Smith into his box. Gonna go up for the right sides, of course. Will he take 2? Will he take 4? Right sides down. It's gonna be a 4-tire, no, 2-tire pit stop. He's gonna cover up what Nathan Finnegan did. That is exactly what I think he needed to do to keep this race win, albeit getting a bit loose there on corner exit. Gonna go out all the way. That might be a penalty. I haven't watched enough pit exits to know if that's going to be a penalty or not, but I think that might be an unsafe pit exit for the 78 car. We'll have to wait and find out. Now, hang on a second. Loria has driven up to and around the 6 car of Nathan Finnegan. This might not be as good of a move as I thought. I thought Finnegan would have had the race lead when it cycled. That's not going to be the case as everybody else is pitting. Gladula stays on the racetrack, though. The 2-tire strategy has been so good on these intermediates all season. It might not be so good here today. So Gladula still on the racetrack in first. Eric Smith still on the racetrack in second. Brian Smith will be our race leader when this thing cycles through. Working down the back straightaway now. I think Vincent Loria might be in a really good spot here if he can just calm himself down, not hit the outside wall. Brian Smith, of course, has the advantage right now. The race is in the palm of his hand still. I'm really surprised that... Oh, well, I see the problem. I think Finnegan might have taken 2. We might have to get clarification from him later if we talk to him, but I think Finnegan might have taken 2 to cover up a mistake. Because his pit time... You see here for Loria. Loria's pit, the whole lane time is a 47.81. For Finnegan, it's a 46.71. You would expect that 4-second difference in the box to be 4 seconds on the lane, and that's not the case. So I think that was to cover up a mistake. I think Finnegan might have made a mistake coming in and taken the 2 tires to try and salvage his run. That's a smart play in the meantime, but he could really use a caution, I think, to get back on 4 tires and even footing with these guys and try to race for a win. Brian Smith, though, did 100% take 2 tires, gets a bit of an advantage, covers up the undercut, and now has about 1.7 seconds unwavering and just ran the fastest lap of the race. Loria even ran his own fastest lap of the race, but it was just about a 10th off. Adam Ball going to race with Kevin Gunther. This will eventually be for the 8th position, rather. It's currently for 9th. And while we ride on board with Adam Ball, we'll go Pit Stop TV Sounds of the Sim one more time before we get ready to go to the end here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And that's Pit Stop TV, Sounds of the Sim. 10 laps to go now. We did see a battle with Charlie Widener, Kevin Gunther, and Adam Ball. Nothing changing out ahead aside from Brian Smith continuing to run record lap times. Now a 2.4 second gap between first and second. So quickly pulling away with his 9th win of the season potentially. It's Smith, Loria, Finnegan out front, then Jacob Smith, followed by Justin Bissonette, your top 5, all spread out over the course of 7.6 seconds. Patinko runs 6th, then Widener in 7th, Gunther in 8th. That's where we find ourselves with this fight. Widener, Gunther, and Ball in 9th spot. fight brewing here as well. Josh Clemens in 10th. Kyle Purcell would like it. He runs 11th. Zach Lockett there as well. Here's a move. Purcell to the inside of the KU Motorsports Ford Mustang. And this is going to be for the 10th spot. Kyle Purcell rolls right on through in the Toyota Camry. So pass made by Purcell to get back into the top 10. Clemens freeze! Whoa, it took off on him, but he just hangs on to the race car, keeps it on the black stuff, and will rejoin the racing line. That could have been a lot worse. Oh, he gets the wall hard, though, out of turn number 3. Pounded the outside wall. Nearly gets it again out of turn 4. Meanwhile, deep in the field, 16th and 17th, Anthony DeSeo, Steven Tuck. Tuck racing for all the points he can get. DeSeo as well. Both of these drivers trying to find something late in this season to fight into the playoffs. And DeSeo might lose these points. Contact between these two. DeSeo could lose this spot here on lap 89 of 96. At the same time, maybe Tuck won't get it. Side by side, they stay. Robert Blue in there in the background within a second of these two as they draw just about even. Tuck gives up a little bit of time. DeSeo runs the very outside of the racetrack, but hangs on to the spot for the time being. And now DeSeo gives that spot up. Steven Tuck goes by. That is good for 16th spot as side by side go Jacob Gladlich and Brad Delph just a little ways up the road. Gladlich on the 14. Whoa, Cody Eldred going to get into the 72 car. And that's going to be a spin more or less. Brad Delph, much to his own detriment, is going to save the race car. No caution with 7 laps to go. And that's a bunch of points out the window for the 72 car. Eldred just nudged him. And those are two drivers on opposing sides of that cut line fight. As now Clemens and Lockett fight. Lockett gets the spot. Clemens loses it. And Delph is just trying to regroup. So a bit of excitement here before we get down to the end of the race. We'll take a look back at it. The 32 car, Cody Eldred. Old School's coins on the hood of that machine. Let's see what happened. Just dives into the corner. Brad Delph comes down. Eldred throttles up and just gets in the right side of that 72, or left side of that 72 car. All of this while we have a fight brewing for second spot. In fact, the fight's already happened. Vincent Loria has lost the second position to Nathan Finnegan. 5 laps to go for these drivers. Loria going to try and fight back, gets a run through turn 2, kind of stalls out a little bit down the back straightaway. Going to try and use the draft, of course. Gladlich and Clemens. Clemens headed the wrong direction quickly. He's 13th now. These drivers on slightly newer tires just moving on by as DeSeo and Brad Delph race. Robert Bluen tries to go by. In fact, Bluen has gone by. So fights all over the racetrack here inside the last 5 laps. Brian Smith takes 4 laps to go. Whoa! Whoa! Vincent Loria. Real free out of the corner. And this will be the replay of this position changing hands. Vincent Loria in the 67. Nathan Finnegan in the 6. Off of turn number 4. This is a little bit before it happened. I think it's going to happen down here in 1 and 2. Yep, there's the wall for Loria. Finnegan pulls up. Loose for Loria. And this just opened the door for the 6-car Finnegan to go right on by. As we've got something happening live. That was the pass for second. Every time we take a replay, something else happens. And Lockett had a problem. Lockett and Purcell both that lap. Lockett now to 13th. Clemens now to 12th. Purcell to 11th. And Jacob Gladulich breaks into the top 10. Purcell... Whoa, little free. Nearly got hit by the 44 car. This the battle now for 11th position on the racetrack. And it's that close. Purcell gets free. Trying to hang on to it. Drifts out of the corner. Clemens tags the wall. Here comes Brzezowski a lap down. And these guys are down outside of the top 10 racing. Charlie Widener here on Patinko. Right at the end of this race. This is for 6th position. Patinko starting to fade over a little bit. Widener waits. That was 2 laps to go for these two. Oh, Patinko gets free. Widener going to shove the car down to the inside lane. Patinko going to run the outside and try to fire back maybe down the back stretch. Widener's got him cleared. Vincent Loria just had a whole issue off the corner. Down the back straightaway, Loria's sinking. Down now to 6th spot. Here comes 7th. Here comes 8th. He's going to try and get back on the racing line. But there goes Gunther. There goes Adam Ball. Quick replay as we take, literally as we take the white flag. So white flag is out, brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. What happens here to the 67? He gets free, comes up and slams into his teammate, Jacob Smith, and takes them both out. Incredible. 7 wins on the season. It's not going to happen for 8 tonight. It has been a night of problems for Vincent Loria. Meanwhile, a night of triumph for the 78 of Brian Smith by 4.6 seconds. He comes around turn number 4 as a chaotic finish closes things out at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It is a 9th win now on the season for Brian Smith. Car 78 to victory lane. Rest of the field comes on through, finishes this race. But out front, it is all Car 78 with the race win. There is one more good battle here. Here's Lockett across the stripe. He's going to stay ahead of Clemens. Another good one, Brad Delph and Robert Bluen. Delph able to get the 15th spot back away. But Vincent Loria, chaos at the end. Takes out himself and his teammate Jacob Smith. Unbelievable. Meanwhile, Brian Smith goes to victory lane, so things are on the up and up for Car 78 and Outback Motorsports. He'll do a burnout and no worry of the bricks here today. He can burn it down on the bricks all he wants. And a big smoky burnout for driver 78 this evening. He has earned it. 59 laps led out of 96. And a checkered flag for driver 78 this evening as he burns it down a bit more. And that engine expires. We'll take a look back at our unofficial race results. Out front, Brian Smith with another race win, 9 now on the season. Nathan Finnegan, second spot. Then Bissonette is going to take a top 3. Another big points day for Justin Bissonette. A top 5 for Charlie Widener and Evan Patinko. Kevin Gunther in the 6th spot. Then Adam Ball and Vincent Loria falters all the way down to 8th. A terrible, terrible ending for KU Motorsports. It'll be Jacob Gladgelich in 9th. Kyle Purcell will take over 10th position right at the end. It's Zach Lockett in 11th. Then Josh Clemens, Cody Eldred, Stephen Tuck, and Brad Delph. Robert Bluen, Anthony DeSeo, your final cars on the lead lap. Eric Smith, Jacob Smith, and Nathan Brzezowski, the remainder of your top 20. Unbelievable scenes at the end, but the one thing that is believable is that Brian Smith is going back to victory lane. Now 9 wins on the season. We talked to you after your first stage win. You went out there and got another one. Clearly everything playing into your hands this evening, Brian. How good does it feel, though, to now get a 9th win on the season and be one away from double digits?
You know, Andrew, sometimes some races just go as planned, and that was what happened tonight. Nailed strategy. I had to pass a few cars sometimes. Some guys short pit me, but man, I was pretty locked in, and no late race yellows, although the 67 looks like he ran out of talent, and I'm surprised that didn't bring out a yellow, but can't say I'm too surprised by that. But all in all, it was a great night for me. Great night for the 79 as well. You got a top 20, so like I said, 3 straight stage sweeps and wins, so that was definitely a good one.
Big win here this evening at Indianapolis. Next up, Atlanta. Do you think this trend continues on? Can you go for double digits next week?
Oh, I certainly think I can. That's going to just be a matter of tire saving and ripping the walls, so it should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, we talked to you so darn much that I'm running out of questions, Brian, but congratulations again. 59 laps led this evening, a really solid number 78 Wildlife Warriors on the side and the hood of that car. Congratulations. I know we'll be talking to you again next week, I'm sure, and we'll see you down in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Great job with the broadcast as always, and great job everyone else on track tonight. It was a really clean race, a lot of fun to run.
Very clean race here in Indianapolis. Brian Smith to victory lane, and we'll go down and grab second place finisher Nathan Finnegan, who had a tumultuous third stage, I'd say. Nathan, we noticed you took 2 tires at the mid-stage pit, but it didn't seem like that was the original plan. What happened?
Yeah, we were hoping honestly to go with 2, and the fuel number kind of actually worked out for us. We unfortunately slid the box on the entry, and that cost us a second or 2. But I still think Brian would have covered us off, I think, on his pit stop cycle anyhow. But yeah, and again the 78, I gotta just tip my cap. Just unbelievable pace yet again. But again, another solid run for us, so definitely happy with the podium.
A very solid run, getting very close to a win again. You've got a couple from earlier this season, Phoenix and Richmond. We are going to Richmond soon. Is there another track maybe that you could get another win at before the playoffs begin?
Honestly, kind of circled Daytona on the calendar. Looking forward to going there. Love pack racing, super speedway racing. So, it'd be cool if we could take the night race. Definitely a bucket list item, if you will. So,
of course, anything can happen at Daytona. Well, best of luck, Nathan. Go to a big-time drivers racetrack next week that might suit your favor. Who knows? Congratulations, P2. This evening we'll be looking for you in Atlanta.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Justin Bissonette, the other 6 car, the 06 car, goes 3rd place this evening. And Justin, we talked to you earlier. At that point in time, did you think we'd be talking to you again this evening, but with a 3rd place finish?
Yeah, that when we didn't get a caution, I thought P5 was what I was gonna have to settle for, but turns out that Vinny and Jacob decided they were gonna start hitting on each other, and podium's a podium. I'll take it.
A podium is a podium, and it's some massive points as well. I mean, Widener right behind you, so as far as the fight of who's going to be the best without a win, well, you guys both get a bunch of points. But as we get closer and closer to you locking into the playoffs without a win anyways, just on points, is that pressure coming off to where you can take a few more risks and go for a win here with some strategy efforts?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm at a point now where as long as I'm making the starts, we can. Just the starting points alone should be enough at this point now to kind of trickle us across the goal line. So if we have the opportunity, I'll take it. I'm, not gonna go jump cars and run other people's races for no reason. But yeah, we're at least at a place now where the pressure to points race and worry about each position is, slowly coming away.
Good clean race for you. A lap led even in the 06 car. Congratulations on a third place finish. I know we'll be talking to you again soon.
Thanks, man. Have a good night.
As well, that's Justin Bissonette in the third spot. Things all clean and green there at the end despite the chaos from the 67 and 21. Just unbelievable scenes for that team as a whole when it all came down to it. But if we look at the race infographic, 5 cautions for 15 laps, 2 of them for stages, 3 of them for cause. A very, very clean race here at Indianapolis, even with the 13 lead changes. A really solid one here today. Next up, for these drivers, it's out to Atlanta Motor Speedway on the old layout of Atlanta. The high banks still, but slightly lower banks, I think 24 degrees thereabouts. Slightly lower banks with all of the bumps all throughout the corners. Old pavement. It's real difficult to hang on to the race car at times, and especially in this next-gen car, those bumps are going to be treacherous for these drivers for the first of 2 Atlanta races happening very quickly through the course of the summer of 2024 and into the fall here as we talk about the playoffs. So 4 races to go in the regular season, 4 opportunities for these drivers to try and beat Brian Smith and get themselves a race win and lock themselves into the postseason. Atlanta, California, Richmond, and Michigan. 4 pretty unique racetracks aside from, I guess, California and Michigan are pretty similar. Regardless, 4 different racetracks for these drivers to go to and try and notch a win. Next up for us, we head out to Long Beach Street Course for the North American Racing League in their 4th race of their 6-race calendar here in 2024 for their 6th season of racing in the GT3 category. Cannot wait to get out there on the street course on July 25th, this coming Thursday. And then Friday evening, the Luke's Playhouse Wellness Center and Gym 200 with a couple of NASCAR stars. Caden Honeycutt will be in that race. I believe Vicente Salas will be in that race from the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series. We'll have Caden Honeycutt. I mean, his accolades are growing by the day, it seems like. NASCAR Truck Series driver, ZMAX Cars Tour driver, eNASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola Series driver. The list keeps growing. He'll be in that race. And of course, a week from today, we'll be racing at Atlanta for the Icon Cup Series. So a lot of great racing coming up here at Pit Stop TV. You do not want to miss it. Social media links at the bottom of your screen where you can find everything Pit Stop TV, and make sure you don't miss a minute of the action. Congratulations to Brian Smith, and a big nod to our partners this evening, Whiplash Media, SimCams, ATVO, and CC's Business. That will do it for us from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time at Pit Stop TV, hopefully for the North American Racing League at Long Beach this coming Thursday. We'll see you there.
On Friday, July 26th, take the next gen to the California Sands at Auto Club for the inaugural Luke's Playhouse 200 charity race. A $5 minimum entry fee donation gives you the chance to race against real NASCAR stars and show support for Luke's Playhouse's commitment to providing aquatic therapy for children and adults with chronic illnesses. 100 laps, no stages, 1 winner. Catch all the action July 26th on Pit Stop TV.